the fortress of the mind. What if the greatest prison ever built has no walls, no bars, no chains, but exists entirely inside your own skull, constructed brick by your own thoughts, your own fears, and your own desperate need for the world to behave the way you want it to? Here is the shocking truth that most people will spend their entire lives running from. You are not disturbed by what happens to you. You are disturbed by what you believe about what happens to you. Read that again, slowly, because that single sentence, if truly understood, has the power to completely shatter the identity you've built around your suffering. Pain is the teacher, comfort is the trap. What if everything you've been chasing, the comfort, the ease, the path of least resistance, has been secretly, silently, systematically destroying the very strength you were born to develop? Here is something that will disturb you if you sit with it long enough. Comfort, pursued as a life goal, produces weakness. Not weakness of body alone, but weakness of character, weakness of spirit, weakness of resolve. Every time you avoid a difficult conversation, every time you quit when resistance appears, every time you choose the easier path simply because it is easier, you are sending a message to your own nervous system. I cannot handle difficulty, and your nervous system believes you. And it prepares accordingly, and slowly, quietly, you become someone who genuinely cannot handle difficulty. Pain, on the other hand, voluntary difficulty, chosen struggle, deliberate discomfort, does something miraculous. It expands your capacity. A muscle torn through exercise comes back thicker, stronger, more resilient. The human character works in exactly the same way. Every hardship endured with awareness and dignity does not break you. It builds you into something the comfortable version of yourself could never have become. The most dangerous phrase in the human language is, "I'll start when things get easier." Things will not get easier. Life will not suddenly clear the road. But you can become so strong that the road's difficulty becomes irrelevant. Pain is not your enemy. Your avoidance of pain is. Face it, walk into it, come out the other side, and notice who you've become. The opinion of others. A weight you were never meant to carry. What if you have been living someone else's life, making decisions based on someone else's approval, shrinking yourself to fit someone else's comfort, abandoning your own truth simply because someone, somewhere, might disapprove? This is perhaps the most widespread, most devastating, and most silent suffering in human existence. The crushing, suffocating weight of caring too deeply about what other people think of you. And the shocking part? Most of those people are not even thinking about you. They are too busy worrying about what you think of them. You are torturing yourself over an audience that has already left the theater. Understand this with absolute clarity. The opinion of another human being about your life is their opinion about their own fears, their own limitations, their own unlived dreams projected outward onto you. When someone tells you that you cannot, they are telling you they cannot. When someone mocks your ambition, they are confessing the death of their own. Their words carry no weight in the real universe, only the weight you choose to assign them. To become truly strong means to perform your duty, live your values, and pursue what is genuinely good, regardless of applause or criticism. The crowd cheers, and the crowd jeers, and the truly strong person continues walking, not out of arrogance, not out of blindness, but out of a deep, settled, unshakable knowledge of who they are and what they stand for. Stop auditioning for people who were never qualified to judge you. Control what is yours. Release what is not. What if the single greatest source of human suffering, the anxiety, the sleepless nights, the constant feeling of being overwhelmed, comes not from the actual problems in your life, but from your relentless, exhausting, ultimately futile attempt to control things that were never yours to control? Think about how much mental and emotional energy you spend every single day on things completely outside your power. What people think of you, how the economy moves, whether it rains, whether someone chooses to love you back, whether the world recognizes your worth. You pour your precious, irreplaceable life force into these things like water poured into sand, and then you wonder why you feel so depleted, so powerless, so endlessly anxious. Here is the liberating, terrifying, life-changing truth. There are only two categories in this universe: things within your control and things outside it. Your thoughts, your choices, your responses, your values, your effort. These are yours. Everything else, everything belongs to the universe, to fate, to the uncontrollable river of events that flows regardless of your preferences. The moment you make this distinction with absolute seriousness, not intellectually, not as a nice idea, but viscerally in your bones, something extraordinary happens. The weight lifts. The anxiety softens. Because you stop fighting reality and you begin working with it. You stop bleeding energy over what cannot be changed, and you pour that energy into what can be. This is not resignation. This is the most radical form of power available to a human being. Impermanence, the truth that sets you free. What if the very things you are most afraid to lose, your status, your relationships, your health, your reputation, were never truly yours to begin with? And the moment you truly accept that, you stop being afraid. Everything passes. This is not a pessimistic statement. This is the most honest observation ever made about the nature of existence, and the people who truly internalize it, not just nod at it, but live it, become untouchable in a way that no amount of money, power, or success can replicate. They become untouchable because they hold everything lightly. They enjoy deeply, they love fully, they engage completely, but they do not cling. And because they do not cling, nothing can be truly taken from them. Think about your suffering right now. How much of it comes from things that have already happened, things you cannot change, moments that are gone, people who have left. You are living in a museum of your own past, guarding exhibits that no longer exist, paying the entry fee every single morning with your peace of mind. The antidote is not detachment in the sense of coldness. It is detachment in the sense of freedom, to look at everything in your life, your achievements, your relationships, your body, your very breath, and say, I am grateful for this. I am fully present with this. And when it is gone, I will let it go. This is not weakness. This is the deepest, most courageous strength a human being can demonstrate. Action without excuses, the final discipline. What if the only thing standing between the person you are and the person you are capable of becoming is not circumstance, not timing, not luck, but the story you keep telling yourself about why now is not the right moment? Every great transformation in human history has happened in the most imperfect conditions imaginable. Every person who ever became genuinely strong, genuinely remarkable, genuinely free, did so not when circumstances cooperated, but despite the fact that they didn't. The world does not pause for your preparation. The clock does not stop while you gather your courage. Life is happening right now in real time, and every moment you spend waiting for better conditions is a moment the stronger version of yourself does not get to exist. The final and most demanding discipline of genuine strength is this: to act. Not when you feel ready, because you will never feel fully ready. Not when you feel motivated, because motivation is a weather pattern, not a foundation. But to act from principle, to act from commitment, to act because the work needs doing, because your values demand it, because the alternative, a half-lived life full of comfortable excuses, is a fate worse than any failure. Every morning that you rise and choose discipline over comfort, every moment you respond to difficulty with dignity instead of reaction, every time you honor your values when no one is watching, you become stronger. Incrementally, invisibly, inevitably, and one day, without announcement, without ceremony, you will notice that things that once broke you no longer even reach you. That is not luck. That is the result of 1,000 quiet, disciplined choices made in the dark. Make them. Begin now, not tomorrow. Now. the full speech. Become so strong that nothing affects you. In the style of Marcus Aurelius, 60-second hook. What if I told you that every single thing you are afraid of, every storm you are dreading, every judgment you are fearing, every loss you are desperately trying to prevent, has absolutely zero power over you? Not because those things won't happen, not because life will suddenly become gentle and cooperative, but because there exists within you, right now, beneath all the noise, beneath all the anxiety, beneath all the years of conditioning, a quality so profound, so ancient, so undestroyable, that when fully awakened, it renders the chaos of the world completely and utterly irrelevant. What if the version of you that nothing can touch, nothing can break, nothing can reach, is not some distant future achievement? What if that version of you is not waiting on the other side of success, or comfort, or the right relationship, or the perfect moment? What if that version of you is available right now, today, in this very breath, and the only thing standing between you and that unshakable existence is a single, radical shift in how you understand yourself and the world around you? Stay with me. Because what follows is not inspiration. It is not motivation. It is not a collection of pleasant ideas to make you feel temporarily better. What follows is a philosophy of iron, a way of seeing, thinking, and living that has the power to transform a fragile, reactive, approval-seeking human being into something the world desperately needs and rarely sees. A person who is genuinely, completely, and permanently unbreakable. The speech begins. What if the greatest battle you will ever fight is not against another person, not against circumstance, not against failure, but against the untrained, undisciplined, endlessly reactive version of your own mind? Consider this for a moment. You wake in the morning. Before the day has spoken a single word to you, the mind has already begun its familiar performance. Cataloguing worries, rehearsing anxieties, preparing defensive narratives for conflicts that have not yet occurred and may never occur. By the time your feet touch the floor, you have already surrendered something precious. You have already allowed the phantom army of hypothetical suffering to march through your consciousness unchallenged. And so the day begins not in strength, but in a state of subtle, invisible defeat. This is not a criticism. This is an observation. Because the untrained mind does not choose this behavior, it simply defaults to it. And a default, by definition, is what happens in the absence of intention. The question, therefore, is not whether the mind tends toward chaos. It does. The question is whether you will spend your life being governed by that default, or whether you will rise, day by day, choice by choice, breath by breath, to govern it yourself. The mind, when trained and disciplined with ruthless consistency, becomes something extraordinary. It becomes a fortress. Not a fortress that keeps the world out, but a fortress so internally powerful that the world simply cannot enter without permission. Storms can rage outside. People can betray you. Circumstances can crumble. Empires can fall. And inside this fortress, there is a stillness so profound, so unshakable, that chaos becomes nothing more than distant weather, observed, noted, and left entirely outside. You are not disturbed by what happens to you. You are disturbed by what you believe about what happens to you. This is not a comfortable truth. It is not a truth that allows you to remain as you are and simply feel better about it. It is a truth that demands everything from you, because if your suffering is constructed by your interpretation, then you are responsible for it. And if you are responsible for it, you have the power to dismantle it. This is terrifying, and this is the beginning of genuine freedom. Most people spend their lives building their sense of security on external foundations, on the approval of others, on the continuation of comfortable circumstances, on the belief that if enough good things happen, they will finally feel safe. And then those foundations shift, as all external foundations inevitably do, and the person collapses with them, not because they were weak by nature, but because they built on sand and called it stone. The person who builds their strength internally, who anchors their peace, not in the cooperation of the world, but in the quality of their own character, becomes something rare and extraordinary. They become genuinely stable. Not because nothing bad happens to them, life makes no such promises, but because nothing bad defines them. Because they have developed the internal architecture to process difficulty without being destroyed by it, to face loss without being consumed by it, to encounter criticism without being diminished by it, to walk through fire and emerge not unburned but unbroken. And now I must tell you something about comfort, something that will disturb you if you allow it to land properly. Comfort pursued as a life goal destroys you. Not dramatically, not all at once. It destroys you gently, pleasantly, incrementally, like a slow erosion that you don't notice until the cliff has already crumbled into the sea. Every time you avoid a difficult conversation because it feels uncomfortable, you are training yourself to be someone who cannot handle difficult conversations. Every time you abandon a commitment because resistance appears, you are training yourself to be someone who abandons commitments. Every time you choose ease over effort, you are